Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz. It is July 23, 2018, 3:19 a.m. Birmingham. Topic is Texas. All the talk I've been doing about what I saw and witnessed in Texas this past trip has really blown me away. And what I told you about the housing and apartments in San Antonio and in Houston blew me away. And and I told you I was down 22 times out west, but let me be very specific on where I went. Of the 22 times, 18 of those was down the Natchez Trace Parkway after I left Birmingham, Alabama. And from there, cross over and go to I-10. And from there, follow I-10, crossing the rest of Mississippi, all of Louisiana, Texas, through San Antonio, all the way down to Del Rio. And that was 18 of those trips. In 13 of those trips, I went into Mexico. 2 of those, I drove through parts of Mexico. But then when the drug lords down there, God, they're killing so many people. And I just decided that it was best that I no longer go into Mexico. And I made a huge, huge mistake twice in Mexico. And lucky that I got out of there. Actually, 3. And one of them I'll skip at the time. First time I drove through 60 miles to Mexico in Eagle Pass and came out Del Rio on Highway 2 with a gun in my car. I'm an ex-cop, but still carry a badge, still carry my weapon. They don't cotton to that in Mexico. They'd lock me up 5 years if they'd caught me. So after that, I left my gun hidden on the outside and then picked it up later on the way out. But then the cartels got to killing. When I first went into Texas, there's less than 7,000 or 8,000 people have been killed, and it jumped up to excess of 170,000 this past year. Cartels. And the second big mistake I went in and did was my last time I went in. And I wore a shirt, DEA on it. That was a huge mistake. I was followed as I was walking around in the opposite town, Acunda, I can't think of it, opposite Del Rio. And I just caught myself, caught a guy, shot him a shoe. I don't know why I stopped shot him a shoe. I did, just to help him out. And I always carried dollar bills in there and just gave them away freely. But I noticed the guy shot my shoes. He was wearing a suit. That was odd. And I hit on it, caught on it, and why is he wearing a suit? But then I'm just kind of watching people. Then I keep catching a glimpse of him looking to his left. To his left was a 2-story building or a house or whatever, but a row of buildings there, 2-story. So I just tried to make it look like I'm not going to look up there and see what he's looking at, but I did. And I did see several people standing on it's like a balcony. Some were going in and out of a door. And then I was thinking, this guy Shaman Shoes is really paying a lot of attention to those guys on that balcony. And then I just, happened to look down and it hit me. I said, oh crap. I was wearing a gray shirt, black DEA. I couldn't get out of that quick enough. When I got out, Border Patrol on the American side, and they know me, because I've been through there so many times, and I know some of the guys. And he said, Brother Wolf, you did not wear that shirt inside. I said, I did. He said, you're lucky to be here now. And so, let me move on. Not only did I see all these things and the other trips, 4 of them, were to the Pacific coast, all the way out Washington, drove up Oregon, California, and then this way. So I've been there a lot of times. And but let me tell you what I saw coming home that I'd never seen before in Texas. The last time I drove through there was 1 year ago. Was right about the time of the solar eclipse. I was coming home the day, in fact, I was in Mississippi when the solar eclipse occurred. I had left the West Coast, but I was via Route 10, 5 down through California into 10, and then 10 into I-20. When I got on I-20, it was storming, and it stormed all the way through Louisiana and into Mississippi before it stopped. And I didn't notice anything. That was last year. This year, when I drove approaching Odessa, Texas, I couldn't fathom what I was seeing. Fracking out the yin yang. Unbelievable fracking. And not only that, all these plants and factories that had been closed for years were all open, wide open. And I saw travel trailers. I saw cargo containers. I saw small apartments by the thousands, makeshift homes or apartments or places to stay for these workers that's working throughout Odessa into Midland, Texas. I never in my life, it's just like a boom city all over again. And I saw yards and factories, and in these yards are these heads. They were round, and the best I could tell, as far away as I was from them, about 7, 8 foot, maybe 9 in diameter through the middle, and they looked to be 2 feet thick, and it didn't look like a pump, but I'm under the assumption it was a pump water, because when they frack, they pump water deep down, and they get gas out of a rock that you wouldn't think had gas in it. And there were thousands upon thousands of these things laying out there, and they were even stacked on each other with pallets between them, like 2 or 3 high. And I saw the same thing in these rigs that were set up to drill. There were hundreds and hundreds of rigs being built, and they're sitting out in the yard. But you could tell that as you travel on, these rigs are disappearing quickly. So they're moving them out quick. Now, what is the cause of all this? The cause of all this is we have a president that said we're going to get our oil and we're going to be independent. Well, we are independent. Not only that, it's gone to another extreme to gas, natural gas. I saw a man hold a black rock that was not too heavy. He said, this rock is about halfway down to the oil. He said, and it's full of gas. And the rock looked like it weighed maybe 2 pounds. 3 tops. Wasn't big. And he says, here's how you can tell. He took soapy water, rubbed it on the top of the rock, and it sat there and bubbled. He said, that is natural gas pouring out of that rock. I don't know how much gas they get out of it. I have no idea. But when they go down and they get into this rock, they don't have to go to the top of the dome of the oil anymore. They shoot water down, and water goes through these various holes they drill off to the left, to the right, to the north, to the south, and pump it with water, and that water goes in and fills every little fissure, every crack, and it forces the gas out, and it comes out, and it just comes back up the well. Water's going down, gas is coming up. Now, I don't know how much water they use, but I understand they reuse the bulk of it multiple times before they can't reuse it. It turns too much into a slurry. And but I'm sure, in that slurry, I don't know what they do with it, but in any case, the fracking, and if you go on the internet and you pull up your map and go pick out Midland or Odessa, Texas, and just scan around it, and you go to these giant fields, zoom in, and you see little white spots just dotted all over the place. That's where they're fracking. All those white places. It seems to be a 1 to 200 foot square where they're fracking. No well pumping, no head, no tower, no nothing. Just, it's almost like, well, they do have tanks, but they're not very large. The gas, they can really compress that stuff. And all of it, the operations are mainly underground. But Trump put them to work, and we are independent. We are actually an oil exporter today. And I'm sure you've all heard of that. But I want to tell you about Odessa and Midland, Texas. And this is only 2 towns side by side, a few miles apart, that blew my mind to how many people were in those towns working, when the last time I remember going through there, when I didn't have rain or something, there were ghost towns. Not anymore. So I don't know, and I don't see, people saying that they're causing earthquakes, minor tremors. I can't see that. I could see it if they're pulling out a lot of material, but not gas out of porous rock. I don't see where that could cause an earthquake. I can see those who are opposing this saying, yes, this is causing earthquakes. And I can also see where there would be an odor to it that could be hazardous or dangerous to someone's health. So what I understand is they're really forced to have to do an extra cleanup on that to prevent that. And I know you didn't come on to hear this, but I just want to tell you that Trump indeed has put people to work. And not only that, I saw more signs with all the people I saw working, all the tractor trailers moving, help wanted. Everywhere you look, help wanted. They're hiring. Guys, these people make a lot of money. Electrician make $100,000+ a year. One more thing I did not see on the entire trip. For the first time in every trip I took of 18 trips, first trip that I went on out there that I did not see was a train. There were none moving in Texas from San Antonio all the way down to Del Rio, all the way across to Sanderson, Alpine, Marfa, and then out to Van Horn. I did not see a train moving. I heard two of them one night. What I usually see, a train carrying 120, 130 cars, and every car has a container on it, two containers, one on top of the other. It's got China, and then half of them got Walmart. So China, Walmart, by the tens of thousands. I believe that $150 billion offset that Trump imposed took effect. I did not see one train with one car with one cargo that said China. I didn't see any trains. The ones I did see that weren't moving, sitting out in the middle of nowhere, none of them. I saw mainly cattle cars, but I did not see any of them that had the name China or that had the name of a company, Kobe, and that's in Japan, of course, but I didn't see any of those. They completely disappeared from 3 years ago to this year. Completely. I'm sure there's still some coming the northern route, but there was not any on the southern route. Trump is doing his job. I say doing his job. He's doing us what he told us he would do. And he said, how can it hurt us? We're saving money. And I agree with him. Jody Wolf, Expoz.